Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Nittani Draws. I'm Nittani, and today I'm going to do kind of a chat and draw. I haven't done one of these yet, and it's where I basically draw on, or work on something that I'm drawing in real time, and you guys just kind of see what it is that I do and how I do it, and I chat and talk about things that are, I don't know, important to me or interesting to me. So yeah, this will be fun, hopefully. I kind of want to talk a little bit about, like, where I gain my inspiration and how I run my creative life. If you've seen any episodes of my channel before, you know that I work very hard throughout the week to make sure that I carve out a little bit of creative time every single week, even though I do work a real, like, day job sort of thing. I've been a waitress for 8 years, and in the time that I've been a waitress, I've learned a lot about myself, and I've learned a lot about other people, and yeah, so one of those things that I learned about myself is that if I don't give myself a little bit of time every week to really work on myself, work on my art, work on some kind of creative endeavor, I have this tendency to get a little stir-crazy. I pay a lot of attention to the needs of my brain and, like, how I'm feeling emotionally in a week. And this is partially because I have bipolar disorder. So that means that I'm prone to drastic changes in mood. I don't have a very, very serious case, not anywhere near as serious as many other people who I've spoken to over the years about this, but I do have a tendency to go between the manic stages and the depressive stages. And when I'm manic, I have a tendency to get a lot of stuff done. I work really hard. I won't sleep very much, and I'll do a lot of art, and I'll do a lot of business stuff. A lot of times my mania manifests itself in me working really, really hard on, like, website design and computer related stuff, because in general I'm actually just really terrible at those things. So when I'm in a really, really intense upswing, I usually work on those sorts of things instead of working on artwork, because I don't really want to feel a lot of emotion during that time. That's usually when I just want to do something, anything that is technical, that doesn't require a lot of attention to who I am inside, more attention to, like, detail-oriented sort of behaviors, listing, and that sort of thing. So I am not in any kind of up or downswing right now. I'm in one of those, like, happy medium places, which for many people who have bipolar disorder, that's a distant dream. This place doesn't exist for them. And I'm very grateful that it does exist for me, and that I'm able to find this happy place, this medium. Like, I'm still driven and I still get a lot of work done, but it's a happy driven. It's a place where I'm choosing to be driven rather than my body is driving itself and I don't really have any control over it. So that's part of why I do what I do. Another part of it is, since I've been a waitress for a long time, I realized I'm not a huge fan of being at someone else's beck and call. and of being beholden to them, and of knowing that even if I want to, I can't do the thing that I want to do. I can't ignore whatever guests need that it is because I don't feel that it's in line with whatever it is that I'm doing. So, like, what I mean by that is, I'm not saying that I don't like guests or that I don't like people or that I'm not good with people, because I am. I like people and I like spending time with people. But what I'm saying, I guess, is when I'm in a server wait staff environment, I am given this set of things that I need to do. And then when a person goes against those things that I need to get done, I can't simply say, hey, please don't do that thing that you're doing. It's not okay that you're doing that, because I actually have no control over my life when I'm in that predicament. Whereas as my own business owner, if something isn't in line with the way that I want my business to be run, or if there's like someone who comes over to my booth and starts just like pulling things off and like destroying things, I can say, hey, that thing you're doing, it's not okay. Please stop doing that. And if they choose to continue doing that, I can then say, hey, get your freaking hands off my stuff, and if you don't, I will call the cops. You can't do that when you're a waitress. You just get to sit back and be like, yeah, sure, it's perfectly acceptable that you're currently touching me, even though I don't want you to touch me at all, and I find it actually extremely inappropriate that you would touch me in a public environment and I've never met you before. Yeah, absolutely, let's do that thing. So that's the other reason I started my own business, was because I don't like not having control over where my life is going, or control over what I do with my time, or how that time is spent in my day-to-day. So I now choose to spend most of my time upstairs in my office working on my artwork and getting as much done as I can that's directly related to my dreams, so that one day I won't have to do this anymore. Well, not this part. This part is what I want to do. I won't have to do the waitress part. The dream is to one day not have a real 9 to 5. Not that I work 9 to 5. That would be insane. Whatever time it is that I go in. Usually I go in kind of like middle of the day when most normal people are still at work. So I go in probably around like 11:30 if I'm there for a day shift or a double, or I'm there at like 3:30 to 5 o'clock if I'm there for just a night shift. And that's not really that bad. I mean, really, realistically, I'm probably working a lot less than normal people would work in their day-to-day, which isn't so bad. But what is awful is that that still doesn't leave me a ton of time to be here in my office and working on commissions and working my way through whatever it is that I'm doing with my normal day, you know? Like, I try to draw at least a little bit every day, which actually I did pick up something I wanted to show you guys. I picked this up at Barnes & Noble today, and it's a drawing prompt book. And I'm thinking of making this, like, chat and draw thing a regular thing, because it's not too difficult, and a lot of them are half and half pages, so I don't have to do the entire page at once. I can do a little bit at a time. So, like, the first prompt on the very first page is Angel's Wings and Dr. Seuss's Hat. Your reflection, asteroids, the Milky Way, a comic book cover, so that sort of thing. So I'm thinking about making that sort of a normal thing where I can sit around and chat with you. Doing this in real time is weird, because I've kind of gotten myself into a thing where I will consistently just kind of watch whatever's going on in the background on my computer and like do the voiceover. But with this, I have to talk while I'm doing things. And I take a lot of breaks. I don't just like work straight through, you know? I like to look at the picture in its process and like see if I'm happy with the place that it's going, and I take a lot of breaks. So yeah, that's kind of what's happening in my world. I really like to spend a lot of time on like the background details of a piece. I know it's kind of weird because I don't really do a whole lot of backgrounds, but the ones that I do, I try to put a good amount of time into just to make them seem like they make sense with what I do and make them feel like they're part of the picture. I don't know. Maybe I'm weird. So this piece that I'm working on right here, it's not really a big deal piece. It's just something I was working on while I was watching Netflix one night, and I started to really like it. And the more I worked on it and the more details I added to it, the more I liked it. So then finally she became a real piece. Well, kind of. She's still kind of sketchy. She's not super detailed or anything. And a lot of times when I'm working on something that's like a passion piece, I don't do arms. I just don't like them. Arms are lame. They get in the way of the emotion, I guess. I don't know. Like, dancers have beautiful, expressive hands that tell a story and are amazing, but most people don't. Most people's hands are just kind of along for the ride, and I guess that's why I don't like drawing them, because they just seem kind of awkward and like they're just there. They're there to fulfill a purpose, obviously. I mean, I couldn't draw without my arms, probably. I mean, I guess I could learn with my feet or something, but most people, they need their arms to achieve their day-to-day. I would need my arms to go to work every day. I would need my arms to make these videos and that sort of thing, but I don't know. They just are weird. I'm weird, I guess. Let's go with that. I'm weird. And arms are weird, and that's what's happening with that. It's almost fall time now. We're getting closer, and so I'm starting to think about fall wardrobe and fall colors and the things that lame white girls think about during fall season. Because I have never heard of a person of color who's like, oh my god, fall is coming, it's the best thing that's ever freaking happened. Yeah, lame white girls do that shit. Oh god, I already swear. I have a mouth like a sailor, and I'm really trying to cut back on that on this YouTube channel because I want it to be as family friendly as possible, but I'm just really not good at it, like, at all. Yeah. It's why I used to be a blogger for a thing called Gamer's Dish, and we had a weekly podcast. We put out 2 podcasts a week, and we did it for a long time. We had like 300 episodes, and it was really fun. It was a great show, and we got a lot of work done with it, but in the end, like, creatively, we weren't working well together, and the guy whose brainchild it was, I guess, he kind of screwed me over, and then we all disbanded and stopped working on it. But when we were working on it actively, we had a pretty decent following. We had a lot of podcasts up. I think we still have 3 or 4 of them up, just because we do, up on iTunes. But I'm a terrible, terrible person about cursing. Like, I have a really bad tendency to just cuss like a sailor and, like, I don't know, not be able to communicate what it is that I want to communicate without, like, saying something awful that, normal human beings would be like, you watch your mouth. I am not good at that. I'm starting to run out of color ideas for you. I guess we can do a red one. Yeah, let's do a red one. Oh my god, that's my new favorite color combination. That is gorgeous. This is Coral, which is one of my favorite pens. But Coral with this blue multi-liner is gorgeous. I don't know what just fell. My office is a train wreck. I'm still in the renovation phase on my house. We have a 120-year-old house that we bought because we live in Michigan, and there's basically no such thing as like a new house in Michigan. Everything is older. Everything is like approximately 100 years old, but sometimes older than that. And most of the stuff that we have out here is like kind of decrepit and falling apart. And if you want something beautiful and in good shape, you have to make it that way. You don't just buy it that way. Unless you're a millionaire. Which is what me and my husband did. We bought our house about 2 years ago. A little over 2 years ago now. And we got married out here and then started renovating. And the house is in much better shape now, but when we bought it, it was a train wreck. All the rooms had this really awful, old, scary looking wallpaper on all the walls, and the woman who had owned it, she had cared for the house, but then she had moved away or something and then started renting the place out, and the renters destroyed it. They, like, the house used to have like a beautiful parlor and all the wallpaper was in great shape and that sort of thing, and then the renters came in and they were like, we don't really care about this place because we're renting. Let's let our dogs and children destroy it. And then they did. And there was dog pee everywhere and cat pee everywhere and probably child pee everywhere. I don't know. So it took a good, like, the first 6 months that we lived here was basically just cleaning. And then after the first 6 months we lived here, then it turned into, why the heck did we buy this? This was a terrible decision. And then immediately following that, we got married. And then we were poor because we just gotten married and all of our money had gone into the wedding. And I'm not saying that we had like a big white wedding, because we definitely didn't. We had a very small wedding, and I was very cheap. I don't like to spend money as a general rule, especially because I would rather put my money into my business or into my husband's business, and so we just don't like to spend money on things like that. So what we ended up doing was we Pinterested the crap out of our wedding. We made everything that we could out of found materials, using bridesmaids' tears, that sort of thing. And it went off without too much of the chaos that normally surrounds a big white wedding. It was still a lot of chaos, but we didn't have a lot of money at the end of it. Because I'm a waitress, like I said before, I have a very cyclical schedule, which means that like halfway throughout the year I have little to no money, which is basically all summer long because we're slow. And then as soon as the students come back, then we get busy again, and we stay busy usually through December or so, which is what we're going into now, is that busy time of year where I'm slammed all the time. And then, I don't know, maybe a couple of months after that, usually like right after tax time. When tax season is over, then I get slow again, and then I have free time again. Which is why I started this YouTube channel when I did. I started it during the summertime when I had a lot of hours to look into how to do SEO and how to start a YouTube channel, how to use video camera. I still not great, but I mean, YouTube is awesome because they have all these creator studio classes that you can access basically immediately upon uploading your very first video. So if you have no idea what you're doing, they give you kind of a clue. So anyway, after my husband and I bought this house and then had our wedding and then became extremely poor, we decided that we were going to both start our own YouTube channels, and that was this summer. When we started our YouTube channels, he is sort of still in the process of getting his going, but when we started them, we knew that if we were going to be doing this, we were going to do it. We were not going to eat, sleep, drink, anything else, any other projects, until this project was a success for us, until this project was something that we could feel good about. So we took the upstairs offices, which one of them used to be my just general crafting room, and I basically do crafts all year round for every occasion and sell at craft fairs too. So I turned this room, which is the one I'm recording in now, from a general crafting room into a recording room with like a nice color for a backdrop, and we bought a lighting rig. We're waiting on a new camera. We bought a microphone, and so we did all of these things so that we would know that when it was time to really get started, that we would be able to do this right. And when we were able to do it right, we would be able to do it with confidence. We would be able to really jump into this and know that we were doing this for the long haul. And that's kind of where we're at right now. He's just starting his channel. I'm just starting my channel, but I've got, I think, like 15 videos up or something like that now. And we've been getting a lot of work done. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that I hadn't expected about starting your own YouTube channel. A lot of like focus on videography and sound and lighting effects and that sort of thing that I hadn't expected to need to learn because of the nature of the type of videos that I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted to do painting. I knew that I wanted to do speed drawing. I knew I wanted to do like tutorial sort of things and some vlogging, but the vlogging that I wanted to do, I didn't really have a goal in mind with the vlogging, I guess. I still don't really, because I just started doing it and I don't know if I'm even doing it right, I guess. But I didn't really have a goal in mind when it came to the vlogging. I just knew that I wanted to do it. I wanted to have access to people and be able to like talk directly to the group of people who are purchasing the things that I love to make. So I guess the first thing that I did upon starting the channel was I sat down and I made myself a production schedule, which I've kept to for the most part so far. This is my production schedule. And so I've gotten a lot of stuff done already. I kind of screwed up today. I released the wrong video. I ended up releasing the vlogging video instead of releasing a Speedpaint, which I had planned on doing. The Speedpaint will probably come out tomorrow or the next day. I'm staying up a little late tonight so that I can get a couple of things done at the same time, because why not? I have Monster to get myself through tomorrow anyway. So tonight I'm probably going to work on getting more videos ahead, because I'm coming up on that crazy busy season at my job, and I don't think that I will have a ton of extra time to be doing all that is YouTube, because like I said, there's a lot more behind the scenes stuff that I really didn't expect to need to be doing that I do. There's a lot of like figuring out what keywords work and what you guys are searching to find me, and like learning how to use a program to edit any of this. Like, that's quite the learning curve. Just a lot to it that I hadn't really anticipated, that until I uploaded my very first video, I hadn't watched all these channels about like how to do it, so then I wasn't really, I was very ill prepared. And then I started doing it, was like, oh no, I've already put all my time into this. This is definitely something I want to do, and I'm already really in love with the venue because I know that I can reach you guys. I know that you guys are watching. I know that there are people out there who are hearing my words and seeing me draw, and so that encourages me to keep going and doing what I love to do, which is drawing pretty pictures of pretty ladies with flowers and things like that. So that is kind of what I'm working on today, is getting ahead. And you know, I'm really digging this right now. I am really happy with the colors that are coming out. I wonder if I have another blue that will work with the background. I need scrap paper, but I don't have any on hand. We'll use the production paper. That'll be scrap paper today. Is that a good color? Yeah, that'll work. That'll be the background. I like this color. B39. That's pretty. What color is this? Cobalt. They're pretty close. Not perfect, but close enough as makes no never mind. I really love the way that this orange is popping with this cobalt blue. It's turning out really pretty. I wish I could afford to get that airbrush right now. That would make this a lot easier. Oh no, fail. Well, happy accident or something like that here. And that pen is dead. Awesome. I swear half of my artistic life is me grabbing pens that are dead and refilling them. That's literally like half of my life. Anyway, so that's what I'm working on. I'm working on getting this channel up and going. I'm working on my production schedule. I'm working on getting a little bit on the page every day. That's always been a consistent issue for me, is actually like getting to the page, because I start to come up with excuses basically immediately upon seeing that it's time for me to draw. I'm like, I could do that, or I could take the dog for a walk. And then immediately after that, I think I should definitely clean out the garage. I will come up with any excuse to not have to do something, even if it's something I want to do, because I'm crazy, and that's how I roll. Come on, fill in the space, please. That's the only negative to Copic sometimes, because they go on, the way I equate them versus like a Prismacolor is that when you use a Prismacolor marker, it's pigment ink, it's not alcohol ink. So it feels like it lays down a little bit more like acrylic paint would lay down, because it's more opaque, and where it lays down, it's staying there. It is not moving for nobody. Whereas when I'm working with Copics, I equate them more to watercolors, because it's more of a steady buildup of color rather than it being like thick and opaque color. So my favorite obviously is Copics, because I like that steady buildup of color, and because I like to know that I'm not filling up a landfill with a bunch of junk that I don't need to be filling it with, i.e. pens. Because they're refillable, they're reusable, everything about them is wonderful like that. The nibs can be replaced, so you're only throwing away the nib when it's dulled out, instead of throwing away the entire pen. I like that the ink is refillable, so instead of getting rid of the plastic casing to the pen, I just refill it with more ink and it's good to go. I like that it comes in a ridiculous number of colors. I showed you guys before in a different video, but I already have 64 colors of Copics. It took me about 2 years to get to that number of Copics. I can usually make do with what I have on hand. Like I said before, I don't really like to spend money. And because I'm not a professional artist, I'm still an amateur, I don't sell enough work to justify blowing, like, whatever it is, like $600 or something to buy a bunch of pens. Like, that's my mortgage payment in a month. I can't afford to do that right now. So instead, when I have a little bit extra cash from something related to work, usually, like this past month we had a garage sale. That extra money that we made at the garage sale can go toward things for our creative endeavors, things toward YouTube, things toward art business. My husband wants to start a promotions group for my husband wants to start a promotions group for artists and art business in the Ann Arbor area, which is where I live, is sort of the suburbs of Ann Arbor. And, well, actually, he really wants to get working in the Ypsi area. I'm originally from Ypsi. I'm from a not great area of town. I grew up there, and I love it there. I love going back home. I kind of wish that I had bought a home there, but at the time all I was thinking was, like, get away from there as quickly as possible. And now, of course, I'm like, or I could have stayed home. I could have gone and lived in the place that I grew up. I know where everything is. I know where my friends are. I can find them. I know where the events are because I'm on everyone's Facebook page, so whenever anybody posts about them, I'm already getting those updates, that sort of thing. Living out in the suburbs of that is a little strange. It's kind of a weird fit for us. We kind of self-identify as oddballs, and we don't really fit in out in the burbs. Most people out here have children, and we definitely do not. Most of the people out here are urban professionals, people who are, you know, working in some kind of big company of some sort. Most of them have cubicles and that sort of thing. This is my cubicle right here. It's like, I don't know, 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm sitting here with all my photography rig. I'm sure my neighbors think I'm completely insane because they are totally that, like, suburban, like, totally normal white person thing. Like, dad is like 40 something and the kids are in high school and the mom is in like 10 yoga classes in town. I see her running all the time. It's hilarious. And it's just like, you know, super suburby, and I don't really fit in here. I ride my bike everywhere that I go, and my dog is my child. One day he will be my wife. And I stay up until 5 in the morning drawing, and I record videos and sit alone in a room and talk to myself. And I set up artwork during local festivals. I'm sure that all of these things sound totally normal to you guys because you guys have some interest in art, so you're like, yeah, absolutely, this is the life that I want to lead. But to the people in this town, I'm like super weird, and I get kind of odd looks out of the corner of their eye where I'm like on my way to go to the restaurant down the street and they're like, oh, whisper, 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 you know. And I don't really know what to do with all that. I know I'm going to want to play with that in a minute. I don't know what color to do for her face. I kind of want to do this, I think. Anyway, so we're going to make her hazelnut skin. I love this color. Hazelnut is my #1 favorite color out of all of the colors in this box of Copics. I use it all the time. I use it for a lot of different things. I use it for chocolate. I use it for skin tones. I use it on white people for their undertones. And I use it on people of color sometimes. Sometimes I think it's a little bit too light and I'd like to go a little darker. But this is going to be the mid-tone on her rather than the dark tone. So I think it'll be okay. Hopefully. Hopefully it'll work out and I'm not just totally ruining this right now. I did just buy a couple of new brown tones because I was complaining about it in the last video that I made, the Practical Magic video. I was complaining about not having enough colors, so finally I gave in and was like, alright, fine. I've already done this, and I think I need more ink in my well. Also, another negative of the Copics is that I end up stopping a lot. Fail. But I guess you get to see how to do it on screen. That's good. I like real juicy markers. I don't like them to be like dry at all. So I'd buy a lot of refills. Oh man, I'm getting it all over the place. It's because I know you're watching and it's making me nervous. Maybe that's what it is. This one was real dry. I wonder what I used it for last to make it so dry. Inkwell. Getting there. I guess I kind of overfill them sometimes. I like them juicy. I think that'll do. So much for my production schedule staying nice and clean. Does anything stay clean in my life? No, that is the answer. No. And my pen cap fell. Good lord. I'm a train wreck in here. So, I had to put the dog away. He was being obnoxious. Normally I record with him kind of babysitting me, making sure I don't wander off on him, but he was jumping around and being generally a hyper little monster today. So he had to go down for a nap. Normally when he gets like that, it means that he's sleepy rather than that he's being hyper because he's like bored or has too much energy. Because he doesn't usually have a whole lot of time to like become bored. We go for a 10 to 15 mile bike ride at least once a week, sometimes more than that depending on how his mood is. And then we also go to the dog park at least once a week because socialization is important for the baby. And then what else do we do? We like to go down to the park area and look at people, and he loves kids, the dog does, so we like to take him down to the park where kids can come over and pet him and give him loves. So we do that. He's very silly. He's about 2 years old now, and we adopted him from the Humane Society last year, right around this time, and it's been a very nice year. I kind of am surprised by how well behaved he's turned out to be, because I expected him kind of to be a monster, if only because of his breed. He's a border collie and husky mix, and they can be a little rambunctious just because they're, like, you know, herding dogs have a tendency to be high energy, and husky dogs are bred for running. So I expected him to be high energy, but he's actually kind of lazy. He reminds me more of the lab that I grew up with than the husky that I knew. Yeah, that's my baby. He's perfect. Because no one's child can possibly not be perfect in the eyes of their mom. This is still not full. It's bothering me. Okay. Really? I can't believe I have to keep filling this. This is ridiculous. I wonder what I was doing with it beforehand that it's so empty. We went out for Chipotle today, and now I have terrible heartburn. I'm just waiting around for the heartburn to get really bad. Oh, now it'll drip. Okay, whatever. I guess it is full. A waste of ink. I wonder why it still feels so dead. That's really strange. This pen better not be dying on me. I'll be very upset because I love this pen. What am I doing? I don't know what to do all this. Well, I've made a right mess of things, haven't I? And I don't even have any alcohol near me to fix it. Normally I would scrub this up pretty much immediately. But I don't have my alcohol pads. I wonder where they went. Are they in this room? Probably not. Okay, I guess we'll do this. This is basically all I got on hand. Is a little bit of blender solution. So in case you didn't know, colorless blender definitely helps clean up your pens when you let them explode all over the place, like I just did. Put it on a tiny bit of cotton and clean it up, and it's all better, except that this side is not, because this side is exploding still. And if it gets a little bit on the tip, it's not a big deal because you can wear it off. So there you go. That's how you clean your pen when you screw up. There's a whole process for actually cleaning them, which I am not doing right now. I am just kind of cleaning up the mess I made. haven't made a mess like this on a pen in a long time. This is bad. Alright. That looks pretty close. It's still sort of splooging all over the place, but we'll have to do. Because I just want to get this over with now. I feel like I've been working on this piece for a long time. I haven't really, but I feel like I have been. So, I'm drawing again. Woohoo! I like that with Copics, the colors go down so fast. Like even though there's a lot of blending and layering and stuff to them, there's just so much color that you can get down on the page so quickly because the colors are, you know, on a brush pen and they move around the page, which is nice. Still making a mess. So I'm kind of digging the way that she's turning out. What does one say when talking to a camera? I've been talking for a long time. I've seen a lot of people do this, and I know that it's usually right around like the half an hour mark where they're like, I don't know what to say to you. And that's where I'm at. Is that fun half an hour mark where I have no idea what to talk to you about. I have a giant container of goldfish crackers that are right next to me right now that are tempting me with their wonderfulness. I've been working with Copic markers for 3 or 4 years. 3 years. 3 years sounds about right. I currently own a total of 64 markers. And would love to have more, but don't have the money for them. I was in my own gallery show at Beezy's in Ipsy for First Fridays. I have been in a few art shows of my own. I am a regular contributor to Venus Rising, which is an all-women's art show that happens like early spring every year. That was my very first art show a few years ago. Their first year that they did it, they were my first show, and I was one of their first people to show in the show. So I've made good friends with the organizer for that, and that's kind of helped my husband decide what it is he wants to do with his life, because that's what he wants to do now, is be a show organizer. He wants to help other people like me do what we love to do, which is interact with people like you. What else do I do? I like to draw comic book stuff. I'm kind of working on a comic book side project right now. Hopefully I'll be able to share some of that with you guys pretty soon. I don't have any information I can share yet, but when I can, I will, because it's sort of contractual work and I don't want to blow it by talking about it too much. And then I am a singer. I like to perform as much as possible. I am a regular at karaoke night. I love karaoke. I think there's something interesting about karaoke that most people are like, no, karaoke takes absolutely no talent whatsoever. You're just singing someone else's work. And I guess I can understand some of that. But at the same time, karaoke gives you a chance to practice your showmanship without having to worry about the content of what your song is going to be. So you're not letting yourself get in your way of the content, or of the performance, because you already know the words, most likely. If you're performing it for karaoke and you're like a serious karaoke person, you already know the words to the song. You already know the notes. You already know the background music mostly by heart, if not completely by heart. So you're not paying attention to that part of it. You're paying attention to how you're gonna interact with the crowd. You're paying attention to, like, eye contact with a person. You're paying attention to all of those other important things that go into making a performance a real performance, and not just some person who's drunk up singing. We are closing in quickly on an hour here, so I will kind of wrap this up, but I wanted you to see how much goes into a piece. When I'm fast forwarding something and making it into a speed paint, it's not short, the thing that I've just completed. It doesn't take me just a little bit of time, because when I started this on screen, I had already put in upwards of 2 hours in conceptualizing, drawing, and then inking the drawing. Then I started coloring it, and then the coloring just on screen has been about an hour, plus all of the rest of it that's going to happen, because there's still a lot of layering, there's still a lot of like background stuff that I want to do to make it into a real finished piece. So it takes a lot of time and a lot of thought and a lot of planning to execute a piece, especially when the whole world is watching or could possibly be watching. I mean, I'm not narcissistic enough to imagine that the entire world is going to watch me create a drawing when I'm 26 years old and I like to draw pretty pictures of pretty ladies, you know. But I am weird enough to hope that there will be some semblance of a group that will come behind this and be like, huh, I am very curious about what it is that she does. And then you'll look at it and be like, you'll see like the dark fae, and you'll, oh, a 5-minute video. Clearly she doesn't put any time into her work. And then you find out that no, it's actually like 4-5 hours of drawing in order to create just a small drawing, not even like a full scale. I had a piece that I sold over the spring this year at that Venus Rising show, and she sold for a good amount of money, and I made a profit off of it, but that's only because I'm able to sell prints after the fact, not because the initial sale of the art is going to make any kind of profit. But it was a 52-hour project. It was an 11 by 14 piece. She's called the Cyclops on my page if you ever want to see her. But she was 52 hours of hard work and dedication, and it was specific to that show. Like, she was going to be premiered at the show that she sold at, and that was basically her only premiere. I wasn't going to show her again as a full piece or as a new completed piece, because Venus Rising is such an important show for me. And so I completed her in the car on the way to drop her off for hanging the day before the show. I was still editing and tweaking the image in Photoshop while my husband was driving. And I took her to the place where I get my prints made. Is a local place. And I took her into my local place to get the prints made, and I was still fiddling with color sharpness and everything while I was standing in line to get prints made. Then I got the prints made. I showed up at my show. I debuted a brand new booth as well, a new booth design at that show. So I had a new booth design, a brand new art piece that was going up. I had a bunch of merchandise from the previous year that hadn't sold and that I was having trouble getting rid of. And all of this at this show, which I hadn't slept in like 2 days beforehand. And I get to the show, and within 45 minutes of the show opening, the original sold. And that is what made it all worth it. Because the woman comes up to me, the woman who purchased it, and she tells me how my art made her feel and how important it was because sorry, I have hiccups. How important it was because it made her think of her sisters, and it was just so wonderful because that's the first time that anyone had ever come up to me and said, hey, your art makes me feel something, and this is what it makes me feel. So anyway, I'm going to say goodbye before this becomes the 6-hour-long video that everyone dreads happening. And I will probably finish this up on camera, that way you guys can see what all goes into it again. But thank you so much for watching, you guys. I absolutely appreciate every single watch, every like, every view. That, like I've said before, this is totally my dream, and you guys are what make it happen. Every time that you click like, every time you upvote, every time you share me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, etc., etc., etc. Every time you come to my shop, every time you look at my art, you read my blog, you listen to my vlogs, every single thing that you do, it helps me. I hope that I'm affecting your day-to-day. I hope that I'm there for you and that I do something interesting. But thank you so much for watching, and I will give you guys a little shout out. If you happen to leave me a cool comment below, I will say thank you and answer any questions you give me. Alright, so I will talk to you later, and I'll see you in the next video.